Why was the Venator not introduced as a part of the Republic's Navy during the beginning stages of the Clone Wars? We'll discuss all of that and more on today's Star Wars video. Before we begin, today's video is sponsored by my good friends over at Vite Ramen. Well, at least sort of. The team behind Vite Ramen is launching a brand new project. And honestly, it's really cool and very different. So let me introduce the VKS project. This is everything from a stunning and very, very high quality kitchen knife. And by the way, not like those fake knives I've seen other YouTubers sell, but it's the knife paired with a unique interactive story experience which will also teach you kitchen skills, which is wild. Right now, their project is absolutely blowing up on BackerKit. It's like the 4th most popular project. They've raised 40 grand already, and we're one day in. But if you back the project, not only can you grab the stunning knife kit, but also a very unique QR board, which is a teak cutting board, which will also allow you to progress the story. And this is something that is going to continue to evolve, and if you're interested in joining, make sure you check out the BackerKit page. It will be linked down in the description. You can get everything from just the knife to the full kabang invested in the story. I will be doing it, and I am excited. They're not paying me to say that. It's cool. Maybe we can bother them and get like an Eckhart's Ladder tie-in into the cool cyberpunk universe. But on with the video. Hey guys, this is Justin. Hello and welcome to another video, a special one today because I looked to the hashtag AskEck questions in my YouTube comment section, and inspiration for today came from the user Lightspeed Victory, who asks, what do we know of the development of the Venator? Was it ready at the outset of the Clone Wars, or did it enter service sometime after it began? And what did the Republic Navy have before the Venator, and by extension, the Victory, came into service that could stand up to separatist capital ships? So that's a great question. I'm going to try to address most of it. To start this discussion, we really have to understand the state of the universe at this point. The military of the Republic, and really the entire galaxy, was being governed by laws known as the Ruusan Reformations. The Ruusan Reformations did everything from regulate the size of starship weaponry to break up the Republic's central military. And yes, in the pre-Clone Wars era, the Republic didn't have much of a military. It had a very limited navy. Instead, individual systems were meant to protect themselves with their own defense fleets and, if necessary, to partner together against greater threats. Obviously, the Clone Wars kind of threw a wrench into things, with the CIS not only rapidly pumping out new capital ships and battle droids, but even converting some of their existing vessels, like the Lucrehulks, which were originally transport vessels, but which were quickly adapted to formidable warships, which would have violated the Ruusan Reformations. So, in terms of what did the Republic have which could have stood up against separatist capital ships? From the pre-Clone Wars era, not much. There certainly were Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers and other ships in sector, planetary, and system defense forces, but really not a whole lot. Some of the bigger shipyards, like Kuat, have produced vessels including the Mandator-class Dreadnought, which were essentially conscripted into Republic service, but more commonly, it seems like the Republic generally was relying on the ships provided by the Kaminoan cloners to transport their troops. And I'm talking primarily, of course, the Acclamator, the Star Destroyer, or at least Star Destroyer-like ship we see first in Episode 2, and which really served as the visual representation for the Republic's Navy until the release of Revenge of the Sith. And that's actually one of the reasons it's kind of hard to find a clear answer to this. In reality, George Lucas probably just wanted the Republic to have something that looked closer to a Star Destroyer to show their continual transformation, but there was no indication between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith that the Republic would get different ship types, and that leaves us with some reference books like The New Essential Guide to Vehicles and Vessels having no reference to the Venator, but we can still understand how things went by looking at the Acclamator including its history and use. So you'll often hear the Acclamator called the Republic Assault Ship, and that's a fitting name. The Acclamator, yes, could land troops and was great at doing so, but it was also pretty damn sturdy, and with 12 quad turbo laser cannons and 24-point defense laser cannons alongside missile launchers, it was certainly not toothless. But let's look at the history, and we'll turn to the new Essential Guide to Vehicles and Vessels, which kind of backs up what I said. Basically that, and I quote, "The old Republic was woefully unprepared for a large-scale conflict. At the time, the Republic had no standing army and few military vehicles. Fortunately, Obi-Wan Kenobi soon discovered a clone army, complete with armor, weapons, and vehicles." The clones were literally transported into battle by the Kaminoans in these Republic assault ships, which were created by KDY after being contracted by Kamino. By the way, there's a story in the Attack of the Clones cross-sections about how the Separatists kind of sealed their own fate by turning KDY against them after an assassination of some KDY board members by the CIS, but that's a story for another day. But anyway, why no Venator? Well, that sort of depends on canon or legends. In canon, the Venator is introduced shortly after the start of the Clone Wars. I guess the ships were just not ready. I have to admit, I don't really like that answer, and I much prefer what we got instead from Star Wars Legends. And Legends does tend to avoid specifics on this point. We don't know exactly when the Republic ordered Venators or why. However, the ship is certainly newer than the Acclamator. In the Revenge of the Sith cross-section, the ship is called the NO Venator class. The Venator, alongside its sister ship, the Victory, seems to be, more than anything else, simply a product of the times. The Republic needed a new militarized vessel. They returned to KDY, and one of the ships they got was the Venator. Reading from the Starships of the Galaxy Guide Saga Edition, the text says, "The Venator-class Star Destroyer is the brainchild of designer Lyra Blissix, who created it to serve as a multi-purpose warship during the Clone Wars. Also called a Republic attack cruiser, the ship was very successful as a battle group leader and often served as a flagship for Jedi commanders." So basically, to sum up the order of events, the Republic receives acclamators from the Kaminoans alongside their clone order. They then put in an order for more acclamators, which serve as one of the main, if not the main, capital ships for the Republic. However, as the war progresses, they realize they need more to face off against the powerful navies of the CIS, and the environment is basically perfect to produce a ship like the Venator. The Republic is spending and spending and spending. The limits placed by the Ruusan reformations have now been forgotten, and the Republic is already working closely with big shipbuilders like KDY, who again would go on to develop the Victory and the Venator-class Star Destroyer. Also, I do need to correct myself. The Victory was not produced by KDY. Whalix Blissix had been with the company, but he left for Rendili. But anyway, I see it pretty similar to how the Republic and obviously the Empire implemented the ISD project, where, yeah, it's a further militarization, it's an even larger ship, and the justification is, hey, we're in danger. But yeah, I don't think George Lucas intended all of that, and I think that's probably why you see the split in canon. You could very well just say that Venators were around at or shortly after the Battle of Geonosis. We just didn't see them there. And obviously, with the similar design language, it would make sense to say that the ship was also in development during the lead up to the Clone Wars rather than as a response to the Clone Wars, but I personally prefer the way Legends does it. Let me know your thoughts, of course, on all this and more down below.